and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be moving forward with my Victorian semi-formal day dress. Now, 2 videos ago, I went through all of my fabric. I picked out the fabrics that I wanted to use for my next few Victorian-inspired projects. My last video, I made a Victorian-inspired nightgown, and after going through a bajillion reference images, and after drawing quite a few drawings of what it is that I wanted to do, I have decided upon recreating Mina's mint green dress from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, that is one of my all-time favorite movies, all-time favorite costumes, and while I have it here in my hand, let me show you the design. Now, my drawing is a little crude, but this is the overall concept of what it is that I want to do. Now, this is going to be a 3-piece dress with a lobster tail. Now, the bodice of this dress has quite a bit of embroidery. I have never done any embroidering other than eyelets, which I don't guess entirely count. For reference, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of photos here up on the screen of Mina's dress. I just love this. And since I am doing Victorian recreations, I would absolutely love to recreate this dress. Do I have somewhere to wear it to? No. Is that going to stop me? No. Do I have enough skill to be able to make something like this? Probably not. But delusion is real, and I'm going to go through with it. Here we can see the fabric behind me. This is what I am going to be using. This lovely mint green fabric. I have almost a whole bolt of this. I picked this up from some guy on Facebook. I have been holding on to this for almost 2 years, and it's about time that I use it. The oh crap factor just set in. Oh crap, I don't know how to do this. For the pattern, I'm going to have to pattern this. I do not have a pattern anywhere similar to what this dress is. So how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to wrap my dress form in cling wrap and then draw on it. I will be starting first with the bodice, as that is the most intimidating part for me. I will then move on to the underskirt and then the overskirt. Now, I don't know what the actual name for the overskirt is called. I know it's called something. I have done a rouging ruffled effect before. However, it was with lace, and it wasn't the best. But I'm also thinking that with a lobster tail, it's really going to enunciate the rouging that I will need to be doing. I should probably make a mock-up of the bodice. I mean, yes, I do have enough fabric here, but I'll make a mock-up, and if it works out, I'll use that as the lining. So my dress form is upstairs. I'm going to go ahead and head up there, wrap it in cling wrap, and then start drawing on my pattern pieces. lighting is really bad in here, so we're just going to skip past that. I have been sitting here at the table for 2.5, 3 hours embroidering because I wanted to practice. I've never done this before. I have my hoop. I have all of the leaves drawn on the sleeves and the collar and the bodice. I know it's very difficult to see through the camera, as I used a white chalk marker because I just assumed that I'm gonna not cover the lines completely. So here is what I have done. I tried a couple of different techniques. As a whole, I suppose it's not bad. I think I figured out the technique and color palette that I'm going to be using. Let's see if we can get the light here. So each one of the leaves is a different technique. I believe that this is going to be the one that I go with. The embroidery threads that I chose were colors that complemented the fabric that I have. So this one right here comes as close to matching this mint green fabric as I could find. And then I also got a couple of different colors. The combination that I have chosen to use is the mint green and the darker green. Now looking on the pictures at the dress, it is difficult to tell exactly what colors are used, as the dress looks different in every single picture. Different lighting, sometimes it looks blue. I can only find one remake of this dress, and I have scoured the internet for days, if not longer. So I am really just winging it here, doing things that I have never done before, including embroidery. So for the hoops, I have this ovular one and the circular one. I went to the library and checked out 2 books on embroidery, and you know, it tells me the stitches, but it's not entirely completely informative. This is the second embroidery book that I checked out from the library. It's okay, I guess. Something I have figured out already as I've sat here for hours, I don't like embroidery. I very much don't like it almost as much as, I very much don't like it almost as much as I don't like knitting or crocheting. Maybe my opinion will change after all of the embroidery work is done and the dress comes together, but we'll see. Now, to save time, and because, I mean, honestly, you don't want to sit here and watch me embroider for hours. Hours for me, probably a couple of minutes or so for you. I really don't know how it'll turn up in editing, but I think that I'm just going to, on camera, embroider either the front or the back of the bodice, and then do all of the other on the sleeves and the collar off camera. But as of for right now, I am done, and I will pick this up tomorrow. All right, now the majority of the main skirt, I'm gonna say, is done. However, and I did expect this, I need to cut off like a good 10 to 12 inches on account of me being really short and the pattern not accounting for that. Really just me not accounting for that. It's no big deal. I assumed that it was going to be too long anyway. But as I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at my reference images, and I'm looking at my drawing that I did, I realized that, yes, I did use a pattern for an 1880s skirt. This skirt has a train. I'm kind of digging the train. As far as the recreation dress, it doesn't have a train. It's an everyday kind of semi-formal dress. But I ended up making the front of the skirt straight and flat, when for the images, it looks like it's pleated. So really what I should have done was double the size of the front panel, Because I did not do that, I think the best way to get around that so I don't have to rip all of my seams and start over again would be to just cut off 12 inches and add ruffles. So I have my ruffles cut out. Well, I have my strips of fabric cut out for making the ruffles. These are 12 inches. It's 12 inches high by 60 inches long. I have 8 of them. I'm going to go ahead and sew them together, and I'm going to sew a hem on them as well. This probably is too much fabric, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. I'm also making dinner at the same time. I have 30 minutes set on my oven. Let's see if I can get this done in that time. Okay, the ruffles have been sewn together and hemmed. The next step is going to be ironing all of this down. I did not measure. There are 8 panels, 60 inches long, 12 inches wide. Top of my head, 60 times 8, 640 inches. I don't think that's right. Now, for the overskirt. So the ruffles are going to go on the bottom of this skirt. The overskirt, I'm still trying to finagle in my head. I'm thinking, though, it's just a matter of gathering on the sides so it can give the circular waterfall effect in the front, and then the large ruffle bustle thing on the back. So I cut out 2, I guess they're rectangles, 60 inches wide. One is 35 inches. I've already forgotten. I did this a few hours ago. I think it's 35 inches, and the other one is 50 inches. Obviously, the bigger one's going to go on the back, smaller one on the front. And then somewhere over there, I don't know, I have another waistband for it. So this dress is a lot of skirts. It's a lot of lower stuff that I've been working on. So the overskirt itself is going to be attached to a waistband. So it's going to be a whole skirt by itself. And I'm thinking, because I did end up changing up the design of the original look anyway, and I'm adding the ruffles to the bottom because I guess I just wasn't paying attention when I should have ruffled the entire skirt, giving way more fabric is what it would have taken. I didn't do that. So I'm improvising, so I don't have to start over again. Now what I'm thinking is I'm going to start with the front panel. I feel like that's just going to be the easiest. I think what I'm going to do is sew up the sides in a tube, slip through some string, and then pull it up and gather it all at once. And then whenever that's done, I'll just sew that into place and remove the string. I feel like that is probably going to be the easiest method for me since I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and just get started on that. So to the sewing machine to sew in a channel on the the edges, whatever. I don't know, the edges of the thing. It has been 3 weeks since my last update. I have been embroidering for 3 weeks and I hated it. I like embroidering just about as much as I like knitting, which is not a lot at all. In fact, if I never have to hand embroider anything ever again, I'll be all right. Now, it took me 3 weeks to embroider because I had a couple hours each day, and it turns out that it takes like 20 to 30 minutes just to do one leaf. And I think I have hundreds of leaves. I haven't even counted. Now, the first few days, I did the collar, and I also did a matching sleeve. I did come to find out that I didn't like this. I didn't like this at all. Now, it's not horrible. It's horrible. Yeah, it is. I tried to be nice. It's not. Didn't like it, so I redid it. This is now what the new collar looks like. Much better. Much better. And for the bodice, and the back. I do now understand why this dress was $5,000. I mean, holy crap. I'm at the point now, I'm completely done. I don't want to do any more of the sewing of this dress. However, I do have one last thing to do, and that would be to put the bodice together. Now, I didn't show you the sleeves. The sleeves are over by my sewing machine, but they're done as well. Now, the order in which I'm going to do things, I'm going to start with the collar. First, I need to sew the collar together. I will then be taking the collar, attaching it to the bodice, or rather pinning it to the bodice. I'm going to take the lining, because I have all the lining cut out and sewn already as well, and putting that on the bodice. I then have to figure out how to sew the collar inside of both layers of the bodice and the lining to make it look good. Then I have to sew on the sleeves and then figure out the buttons. Now, for the dress, let's look at it again. This is the dress. There are 40 buttons on the front of the thing, and the buttons that are used for it are the fabric buttons. I do not have those kind of buttons, and you know what? I'm not even worried about it. I'm not going to try anymore. I'm so done with this dress. I'm going to use the buttons that I have. I don't know what buttons yet. There are going to be a lot of them. We're just going to figure it out as we get there. Right now, I want to get the bodice put together, and then I am probably just going to take a few days before adding the buttons. I don't know. I'm done. I'm so done. It is now the next day. I did not get a lot done yesterday. I came to a point to where I was just done working on the thing, but today's the day I'm going to finish. Today is Sunday, July 6th. It is currently almost 2 p.m. and I am in the home stretch. Almost done, getting done today. The bodice is sewn together. I have the lining sewn into the bodice as well as the collar. It does not exactly line up, but you know what? I don't care. It is good enough and I'm moving on. In order to make sure that the lining stays where it should be inside of the bodice when I go to attach the sleeves, which I will be doing in just a moment, I did a stay stitch just around the armhole, the edges there. This fabric frays so badly because of all of the embroidering and using the embroidery hoop. There has been some damage to the outer fabric. So on the left side, right by the arm, don't know if you can tell that on camera. And I can't really hold it with one hand, let's see, but right in this area, which I realize you can't see, I can see because I'm looking at it, but it has been dented beyond fixing. I just really hope that doesn't turn into a run. I still do need to iron the thing. I guess I should probably do that before I put the sleeves on. For the sleeves, sleeve is inside out, sleeve is right side out. I went ahead and, I'll show you here. Now I sewed the sleeve together, making sure to keep the liner lined up with the fabric. The embroidery on the sleeve, it looks pretty good. I am, however, a little bit worried that the bottom part where it's going to attach to the lower part of the sleeve under the armhole, I'm thinking maybe it's too short, but I also don't want to cut into it. I'm thinking I feel like I want to do like this. Cut like an inch from here, but I feel like if I do that, it's going to mess up just the entire fit around the armhole. So this is now where I'm going to assemble the bodice to the sleeve. So with right sides together, turn the bodice inside out, take the right side of the sleeve, starting at the bottom. So I grab my seam here, and this is really hard to do, trying to hold it up like this. I want to place it here. Now I just want to see if there's going to be any extra, and there's not. Nope. Nope. Okay, I'm not going to be able to cut off any part of the lower. And I'm thinking this because I feel like whenever I go to raise my arms, it's going to stop, get stuck here, and be tight up here. But I guess if that happens, that happens. I'm going to pin on and sew the sleeves together. And then I need to figure out, I know that I have to cut the bottom part of the bodice off because I made it long on purpose. Also, the bottom parts of the bodice, they don't all line up, which is fine. But what I need to do once I have the sleeves on and iron the thing, I need to put on all of my skirt layers. And then I need to put on the bodice. Because, and I have it right here. So here's my skirt pieces on my mannequin. This part would be like the natural waist right around here. And then we have this big poofiness here. So if I have the bodice on like this, we can see here that it just pokes out. And that is not what I want. And then I definitely don't want to have to roll it up like this because in the front I'll end up having some weird issues that frankly my brain capacity isn't working on fixing anymore. So if I were to like roll the whole thing up after I sew it together, it's just not going to be right. Also, per the picture, here's the picture. There's a V in the front. So I need to make sure to keep that V. It's going to come down lower in the front. Need to rise higher in the back. So I still have some figuring to do. And then after that, I just have to find about 40 buttons that match, and I don't think I have 40 matching buttons. We still have figuring to do. I'm going to go ahead and put the sleeves on, and then I will be back to figure out the bodice length. Here I have some scrap. This is what I cut off of the length of the main skirt. I'm thinking, as far as the tightness goes, if I don't want it to be any tighter, which I absolutely don't, I am not going to want to try to add the buttonholes and the buttons as it is right now and just try to like squeeze into the thing. So I'm thinking, and I mean, this already isn't accurate to the dress that I was trying to recreate, which I guess on some level works just fine anyway, because yeah, I don't want to be slapped with copyright, or I don't do patent dresses. I have no idea, you know, whatever. Still, if I were to take this, give it a double layer, I don't need to line it, I can just double layer it with itself, and did like one of the modesty panels. So if I were to sew it along here, yeah, let me get closer. If I were to sew it along here and then somehow have it to where it would connect on the inside, it would close as so, while also not pulling on the back part, not making it any tighter, and also hopefully making it to where I don't have to put 40 buttons in the thing. And I mean, like I said, this is not accurate to the dress that I was trying to recreate anyway. So, you know, let's continue changing things. I would really like to change the sleeves. But again, the amount of work that's already gone into it, I'm just going to leave it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I am going to level out the bottom of the bodice, making both sides even. I'm going to go ahead and hem the bottom. I think that just to make things as easy as possible, I'm going to do a straight stitch right on top. Call it that. Then working on I guess it would be like a makeshift modesty panel or like a stomacher, but not exactly a stomacher, so I don't know what I would call it. So the front would close, obviously, at the bottom with no issues. But if I want to keep it level all the way through, what about even? Even enough, okay. Even enough works for me. Let's see how big that is. 3 inches for a gap. Let's see at the top. Right here. Okay, that's nice. Good enough. 2 inches. If I were to leave the 3 inches, 2.5 inches, what is happening? If I were to make this, let's say we'll make it 5 inches in width. We'll give plenty of extra. Maybe I should do 4. 5 seems like a lot. Actually, maybe not. Then it would have to connect on the inside somehow. I've got some figuring to do. I'm not just going to stand here on the camera talking and trying to figure it out because I don't know what I'm doing. I guess I'll explain it whenever I have done the thing. And there we have it. I am calling this dress mostly done. Now I have been working on this for well over 3 weeks, probably closer to a month. And I got to the point a couple days ago, but most definitely today, to where I'm just done with it. In order to close the bodice, I put on stick-on Velcro and double-sided sticky tape. Now I do not have the buttons that I need in order to close the dress if I were trying to match the recreation, which was the whole point of this ensemble. Now there are definitely differences between my dress and Mina's original dress, but all in all, I do like how this came out. I do have a couple of issues with it that I may in the future eventually fix. One of them being the sleeves. It gets real tight whenever I try to raise my arms or do anything. I already spoke about the buttons, how I have it closed right now with Velcro, because I was just done. Absolutely done with it. I really think those are my only 2 issues. Well, also the collar doesn't fully reach around the front, so I guess 3. The collar is supposed to go all the way to the front and then button close. But I underestimated the total length of the collar, which is fine. The overskirt, it's supposed to be this waterfall thing happening, but I think that I gathered it wrong. So the front of the overskirt was just laying flat. What I tried to do to fix that was to stitch in place to kind of give it the waterfall thing. It didn't exactly work. It's not exactly coming across that way, and I can see each one of my little stitch marks. Again, it's fine, it's whatever. The back part of the skirt, I love it. I love it so much. It is so incredibly heavy though. I had to use a lot of fabric to get this looking the way it did. Also, if I were to make the overskirt again, I would make it longer, probably just by not gathering it up so much at the sides. The way that I gathered it up was I sewed channels on the sides, ran a string through it, and then gathered it that way. Probably wasn't the best way to do it. I probably should have done a pleating method. Now on Mina's dress, I didn't realize until I had already made the skirt. I mean, I realized, but I guess I wasn't paying attention. But her skirt is pleated all the way through. I realized this way after the fact. I followed an 1880s pattern that was straight in the front and had a long trailing train. So in order to get the ruffled look that I was going for, what I did was what they would typically do in the 1880s is have bottom ruffles. So I added the ruffles to the bottom. This is where I was talking about where it would be better if the overskirt were a little bit longer, because there is kind of big open space of gap of nothing really going on. It's not the worst. It is cute. I like it. So if I were rating this project, I would probably give it, I want to say a 5, but the overall concept is good. Yeah, I have issues with it, but it looks like I wanted it to look like, minus the buttons. Again, was tired of making the dress. So I'm going to be nice and I'm going to give it a 7. I will eventually, once I get the buttons that I need in order to do the fabric buttons, which I don't have that, I will go through and add the buttons. That is a thing in the future whenever I feel like coming back to this dress. I like the color. I think the color looks nice for me. I don't hate it. I do like it. I really like it. I'm sticking with my 7 though. Oh, you know what? I'll give it a 7.5. The embroidery is not that great. Yeah, it gives leaves, which is the point. It looks like leaves. And it's like 1,000 leaves. And it took 3 weeks to do the stinking thing. They're not 100% symmetrical. They're fine. Now, making historical dresses is hard. It really is hard. Trying to follow some Victorian methods while making this had me scratching my head. Metaphorically, of course. Really, I was screaming on the inside. I did use my sewing machine because I was not going to hand stitch this whole thing. Otherwise, if I had done that, it would have taken months for me to make this ensemble. It is, after all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, not including the corset, which is a thing I think that I should make. I should make an 1880s Victorian style corset. Probably would actually cinch me in a little bit more, giving me that 1/2 inch to be able to properly do the buttons. I did have to add this, let's call it a modesty panel. I really don't know what to call it. I had to add a 4-inch piece stomacher, I don't know, here on the front, because I guess I underestimated my actual size. I don't know. Or it fit me exactly that I could not overlap it to give it the buttons and the buttonholes that is required. But I do like it, and it is another thing that is going to go in my costuming section of my wardrobe that I will probably only ever wear once a year, maybe. Maybe. You know, I did the thing, so I'm proud of myself. Well, that is all that I have for today's video. I both had a very fun time making this dress and also got extremely frustrated and never want to make this dress again. But I likely will make one similar to it. I don't know. I want to start doing some recreations of things that I like, but, you know, don't have or can't afford. I mean, it's been a while, but I think earlier in the video I had spoken about how I could not find a dress like this. There was no tutorials online. I just had to figure it out by myself. The only thing I could find was one dress for sale, and it was $5,000. I now understand why it was $5,000. I get it. Still not going to pay that, but I get it. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Please subscribe to my channel. Those things really do help my channel out. I am trying to grow, and the only way to do that is to get more eyeballs watching my videos. Well, I am done blabbering. I've got nothing else to say. It is extremely hot and humid outside. We do have a tropical storm coming our way, and I have dinner to make. So I will see you next time. I post on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, and I don't have, this was like my main project thing that I wanted to do over the last month, and I did it. I had intended on making a casual day dress, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get there. The fabric that I've chosen, it's just way too busy, and I don't have another color fabric that will go well enough with it to break up all of the busyness going on in that fabric pattern. So maybe I'll make a fairy dress or something. I don't know, we'll see. So thanks again for hanging out with me while I made today's dress, and I will see you next time. Bye.